In the quiet corners of our world, a chilling tale unfolds. There's a peculiar fascination that lingers in the human psyche, a curiosity for the dark and the macabre. It's an odd paradox, isn't it? We recoil in horror at the thought of pain and suffering, yet we're drawn to tales of terror and the unknown, like moths to a flame. It's a reflection of our society, a mirror to our collective fears and anxieties. Today we're setting out on a journey, one that will take us through the shadowy corridors of history and into the heart of darkness itself. We're exploring a question that's as unsettling as it is intriguing. Who, in the annals of our past, has committed the most murders? Now you might be wondering, how do we even begin to answer such a question? The nature of this inquiry demands a certain level of precision, a meticulous examination of the evidence at hand. It's not just about the raw numbers, the cold, hard statistics. It's about the context, the circumstances. It's about understanding the depths of human depravity and the lengths to which some individuals can go. So, we've established a set of criteria. We're considering not just the body count, but the intent behind the actions, the methods used, and the lasting impact on society. We're looking at individuals whose actions have left an indelible mark on the pages of history, a scar on the collective human consciousness. And let's be clear, this is not a glorification of these individuals or their heinous acts. Far from it. It's an exploration of the human capacity for evil, a study of the darkest corners of the human mind. It's a reminder that monsters do exist, not in the realm of the supernatural, but in our very own world, hidden in plain sight. As we delve deeper, prepare yourself for a journey through the darkest chapters of human history. Our journey begins with the unseen monsters, the silent killers whose deeds go unnoticed. When we delve into the annals of history, we find tales of individuals whose actions have been so heinous, so beyond the pale of human comprehension, that they are forever etched into our collective memory. These are the serial killers and mass murderers of our past, people who have committed unspeakable acts of violence. Let's consider some notorious examples. Take, for instance, the infamous Jack the Ripper, who stalked the streets of London in the late 19th century. His identity remains unknown, yet his legacy of terror endures. Or consider Ted Bundy, a name synonymous with the term serial killer. Bundy was a charming, charismatic man who used his outward appearance to lure his victims into a false sense of security before revealing his true, monstrous nature. In the annals of crime, one name stands out, a name synonymous with death and destruction. This is a story that begins not with a violent act, but with the birth of a child who would grow to become a figure of unparalleled horror. A child, like any other, born into an unsuspecting world, his future yet unwritten. Our subject was born into a household that was far from ideal. The family was poor, struggling to make ends meet, and domestic violence was a daily ordeal. This was a home where love was scarce, replaced instead with fear and resentment. As a young boy, he was frequently subjected to physical and emotional abuse. From a tender age, he was exposed to a level of violence that no child should ever have to witness. The seeds of a monstrous future were being sown in these early, formative years. School was no refuge either. He was an outsider, often bullied, and struggled academically. His teachers noted his propensity for violent outbursts, his lack of empathy, and his inability to form meaningful relationships. But it wasn't just his troubled upbringing that paved the way to his grim destination. There were also biological factors at play. Studies have shown that certain brain abnormalities can predispose individuals to violent behavior. An examination of our subject's brain revealed such abnormalities. His brain was a ticking time bomb, ready to explode in a storm of violence. Yet we must remember that these factors, a turbulent home, a troubled school life, and biological predispositions, do not create a monster overnight. It was a slow and steady transformation, a gradual descent into a world of darkness where human life held no value. This is not an attempt to justify his actions, far from it. Instead, it serves as a chilling reminder that monsters are not born, they are made. And often, they are made by a society that fails to recognize the signs of a future predator in its midst. As we peel back the layers of this person's life, we inch closer to the heart of darkness. In the prime of his life, our subject unleashed a reign of terror unlike any other. This phase in his life was not marked by the usual milestones of growing up, but rather by an escalating series of horrific acts that would forever etch his name into the annals of history. This was a period of unchecked power and ruthless control, a time when life was cheap and death was a daily occurrence. For years he presided over a brutal regime where the only law was his whim. He was judge, jury, and executioner, delivering swift and merciless punishment to anyone who dared to cross him or challenge his authority. His crimes were not crimes of passion or desperate acts of survival. They were calculated, systematic, and chillingly efficient. He was not a lone wolf, but a mastermind directing an army of loyal followers, each one a willing participant in his gruesome campaign of destruction. The scale of his atrocities is almost impossible to comprehend. Thousands of innocent lives were snuffed out, communities were decimated, and entire regions were left in ruins. His reign of terror was not confined to one locality. It spread like a malignant cancer, infecting all corners of his domain. The horror of his actions is magnified by the sheer audacity and indifference with which he carried them out. There was no guilt, no remorse, no hint of empathy. Each act of violence was carried out with a cold and dispassionate efficiency that is as terrifying as it is incomprehensible. His reign of terror left a lasting legacy of fear and despair. Even after his rule ended, the scars of his reign remained, a constant reminder of the evil that one man is capable of. His reign serves as a stark reminder of the depths to which humanity can sink when power is left unchecked and evil is allowed to flourish. But who could commit such atrocities, you ask? The time has come to reveal the identity of this monster. The person who has committed the most murders in recorded history is Harold Shipman, a British doctor who took the lives of over 200 patients. Yes, a man of medicine, sworn to protect and heal, was the most prolific murderer of all time. This is the face of evil. Harold Shipman, a seemingly ordinary general practitioner, resided in Hyde, a small town in England, known affectionately as Dr. Death. He was trusted and respected by his patients. In the twilight of their lives, they entrusted their health to him, only to have that trust shattered in the most horrific way imaginable. In his later years, Shipman continued his practice, seemingly unfazed by the magnitude of his actions. He had a wife, children, a normal life by all accounts. Yet beneath this veneer of normalcy, lurked a man who had extinguished more than 200 lives. The impact of Shipman's heinous crimes rippled throughout society, shaking the very foundations of trust in the medical profession. He exploited the inherent trust that we place in our healthcare providers, transforming the sanctity of the doctor-patient relationship into a tool for his murderous agenda. In the aftermath of his actions, regulatory bodies across the globe tightened their scrutiny on healthcare practitioners. His legacy, a chilling reminder of the potential for evil that can lurk in the most unexpected places, forced society to question the trust we place in those charged with our care. And so, we close this chilling chapter, leaving you with a haunting reminder of the darkest depths of human nature. Remember, the face of evil is not always what we expect. It can be hidden behind a friendly smile, a white coat, and a stethoscope. It is a sobering reminder that evil can reside in the most ordinary of places, in the most ordinary of faces.